It is the compositing window manager that causes all of the newbies to really fall in love with Linux. You are watching the Compiz Reloaded Special Effects Tour right now on Spatry's Cup of Linux. All right, we are more than halfway through this series, and now we're on that special edition, and I'm sure this video will probably get more views than all of the other videos in this series combined, because what can I say? Everybody loves the eye candy, everybody loves the special effects, and for me, that was a turning point when I had transitioned over from Windows to Linux, and I knew that it was desktop ready for me, when one day I installed Mint, and everything worked out of the box, and then I decided, since this distribution's working, why don't I look at some other ones? And I popped in an Ultimate Edition ISO into my laptop computer. Compiz worked right out of the box. The windows were wobbling. I had the desktop cylinder, and the windows were popping off in 3D, and I was like, wow! And I think for a lot of people, Compiz is a turning point, because people are really turned on by the eye candy and the special effects and all the really cool. And then they come to the realization that Linux does a whole lot more than that and does it all for free. And then, of course, we have the other videos and stuff where people educate, entertain, and inspire. Lots of stuff on my channel for you to check out there if you're new. All right, let's go ahead and move along here. To get the most out of this series, please be sure to click the link in the description. It takes you to my website at cupoflinux.com, where there is a video overview on Compiz Reloaded, along with all of the links to all the videos in this series. And I highly recommend that you check them all out because obviously I can't cover everything in every video. There are some additional resources that are available to you here if you want to get this working, especially if you're looking to use Compiz as a standalone window manager, or if you want to use this with Moksha, the E17 fork. There's also an installation order that you'll want if you're going to build this yourself. Installation procedure by distribution family, where you can go to get support for this. Additionally, you can get my really killer Compiz settings, but you do need to be a member of my forum in order to see the download links or to see any links on here. The videos and stuff like that do not appear unless you are a member of the website. So, hey, there are benefits to being a member. And besides, we have a really cool community that you can be a member of and you can contribute with. So it's a lot of fun. Join us here at cupoflinux.com if you want a good place to hang out with other people who enjoy Linux. All right, let's go ahead and move on to where we're going to be looking at the Compiz config setting manager here, and we have 27 options with which to go through today. We're going to be doing all of these options here in the effects section, and hopefully I can get through this in a reasonable period of time. The first stop in our tour for today is the 3D Windows option. You'll notice that when I am zooming out, you see how those windows pop up off of the 3D Windows? Well, if I disable this, okay, and then we zoom out, that doesn't look quite as exciting, does it? That's what this option basically does. And basically it has window matching rules, and by matching those rules, it causes those windows to pop off in 3D. And you're going to notice I also have like a little window behind the special effects tour. That was by design so that you could see the level of depth here that's in there. You have the minimum cube size. You can set up your window spacing, 3D only on mouse rotate, and then you can also set up the level of depth on here. Now, I'm not going to play or tweak with any of these. Experimentation is key if you want to get the most out of this. The next option on our tour is the anaglyph option. Okay, and by pressing Super and 3, you're going to notice now there's a little red and blue separation here. If you have a pair of 3D glasses, put them on right now, and you can have a look and see what these are doing. Basically, you're going to see the level of separation here. This window would appear to be above this one, and then of course this also affects the wallpapers as well. This is a really cool little eye candy effect in red and blue headache vision for those of you who like it. Let me go ahead and disable this because I'm getting a headache already. I'm just kidding. But basically just some options for setting this up. Initiating the window or just you can just initiate this on a specific window or on the entire screen. And then, of course, you have keyboard and mouse bindings on here, as well as window rules and other little options to play with. The next part of our tour takes us to animations, and that's these three items here that I'm going to be going over rather quickly here. You're going to notice when I click an item in here where there's a magic lamp fade effect, or if I have a window open, for instance, and I decide to close it, it'll explode and fade off. There are so many different settings in here. It's going to be impossible for me to cover all of them. But I'm going to explain to you how they basically work so that you can mess around with this. In these tabs under the Enable Animations, you can define the Open Animation, Close Animation, Minimize Animation, Shade Animation, Focus Animating, and Effect Settings. And you basically just select a tab and then what you want these effects to do. You can add new ones or remove them. And when you edit these, you basically just select something from the drop down here. I have a vacuum effect chosen, but you can select any one of these here. And then you can define additional parameters, such as their duration. The window matching is already filled in for you, and you can also type in other options. I've never had to do that before. But you'll see there are a lot of different effects in here. So this tool here is for selecting them, and additional configurations for those tools when you select them are in the animation add-on. So you can define additional settings for like the airplane effect. If you have the window closing and it folds up into an airplane and flies off the screen, you can define those settings. There is the beam, the burn effect. I know a number of you asked me about that one. I don't use the burn effect myself. But you can define its colors and that sort of thing, so you can make it look like fire or blue smoke or a number of things. There's a domino effect, an explode effect, and you can see there are settings in here that you can go in and configure and tweak. And then, of course, this is a new feature in Compiz Reloaded where we have the Animations Plus, which brings Helix, Blinds, Shatter, and Bonanza effects to this as well. The next spot on our tour is the Bicubic Filter, and this doesn't have any options on here, but if your graphic card does support bicubic filtering, it will attempt to smooth out the 3D animations that appear on your screen. So it doesn't really have any additional options besides just enabling or disabling it. The next item on our tour is the blur window option. And basically, this tool allows you to apply a slight blur effect to windows that do not have focus. When I tried to enable like the pulse option, it actually crashed on my system. So, be careful with this one. I did notice it crashed when I tried to enable the pulse option, but basically it does have window rules and that sort of thing, and you have other little options here that you can toy with. I recommend a stronger graphic card for playing with these settings here, though. And the next spot on our tour is the Cube 3D model effect. We'll click on this, and you're going to notice here I have a 3D model inside the cube, or cylinder as it were, with my cup of Linux mug. And basically what I've done here is I defined a object file, and I just defined its rotation and its scale in here, and you could easily just add a new item. We have one guy in my community who actually found a TARDIS model, and he's got like 6 desktops attached to it, and he's done a 3D Compiz thing with a TARDIS. So, I mean, you could use literally any OBJ file, and you could do some pretty wicked things with this. You also have some display options available to you, as well as lighting, if you want to be able to light your objects, and you may have to do that. But for my cup of Linux mug, I really didn't need to have to do that. I was able to work with it just the way it is. Okay, and then you can use separate threads for rendering on this. So experimentation is key with this one. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and a lot of people wanted to know how I got that cup inside, and that is the 3D objects. For this one, I'm going to disable the Cube 3D models, and I'm going to enable Cube Atlantis. Watch what this one's going to do. Now, all of a sudden, inside my cube, or cylinder, I should say, it is now an aquarium. All right, and when we click on this, you can define what kind of fish are inside there. You can define what color the ground is, what kind of waves it's going to have, and other display options such as lighting and that sort of thing. So if you want to feed the fishies, definitely enable the Cube Atlantis effect inside your cube, and you will be happy for the rest of your days. I promise, I promise. We just enabled the Cube Gears effect, and, well, gosh, that's exciting, isn't it? That's the GL Gears. So, well, I wonder if it gives us any options in this one. Nope, it doesn't let you color them or anything, or do anything fancy-schmancy. It's one of those enable or disable kind of things. Stable or horse stable, you decide. All right, next is the Cube Refraction and Deformation, and this one here does work with the desktop cube, the rotate cube, and the 3D Windows. I mean, in a way, I kind of wish they kind of, set all of these up together into like one tab where you would control everything, because this is where you actually get that deformation. So I have the cylinder, but what if I wanted to turn that to a sphere? I can do that now. See how cool that is? I turned it into like a sphere effect. Or if I wanted to do the none, then it becomes the cube effect. Now, because I have 3 desktops, obviously it's only going to show, it's a triangle. So that's how you set that up there in the cube in the deformation. And here you can define your bindings, behavior, and appearance on here. Okay, and when I indicated before that I had invisible, in a previous video that I had invisible cube caps, I have a caps PNG file which is completely transparent, and I defined it in here. You can also enable reflection with this, and you'll notice here there is a reflection at the bottom of the screen, but I think you have to set the amount or distance. Personally, I don't like the way this looks. They have a jumpy effect. Let's see how that looks. Ah, there it is. All right, and you can see there's a reflection down underneath. Just not feeling that one. So I leave that one enabled. But play with it. You might decide that this is something you'll really like. And, if you are an artist or heart, you'll be able to do some pretty cool things with this thing. We also have the Cube Snow Globe effect. And, okay. Yeah, it does look like a snow globe. Unfortunately, it doesn't match my deformation settings. Maybe that's something that the Compiz Reloaded team may work on eventually. But it is a chintzy little snow globe. I guess if you have the box effect, that would look a little bit better. Okay. I kind of get it. Next! Next on our tour is the fading windows effect. And this will cause your windows to fade when you open, minimize, and close them. Although it does conflict with some other effects that you may have on the system, because you're going to notice there's a little fade in the preview. But when I'm minimizing and that sort of thing, because of the magic lamp, it's not really working as well. But you can select some different options with this. If you're not using this with other effects, this may actually look really nice. I just haven't been able to get it to behave properly for me, because if I go into some other windows and try and move some windows around here, and it is fading. Did you notice what it just did with the desktop? It actually did that to the desktop. It was a slow fade when going from opaque to transparent. That's kind of cool. I'm not feeling that one though. Don't care about the window fading. And then back to normal again. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better. Okay. The next option on our tour is the freely transformable windows. Certainly not one that I would use regularly, but it is kind of fun. Check this out. I am able to actually transform windows, and it'll just scale them up and down and resize them and do all kinds of really fun things with them. You have free transformation and manual transformation options. However, it is kind of misbehaving here. Let's reset this. And then I can select the tabs and that sort of thing and do some stuff. So once I've like transformed the windows and stuff like that, it kind of messed up the interactivity there. But I suppose it is great if you want to scale your windows down and tile them all up all over the screen and that sort of thing. That could be kind of cool. I'm certainly not feeling this one, but it is a neat little effect if that's something you want to use. The next spot on our tour is the login, logout. Now, I'm not going to enable this one because obviously I'm using XFWM4 for my login and logout screens. This one is ideal for those of you who are following the ArchWiki's guide on setting up Compiz to be its own window manager. And believe me, Compiz Reloaded has enough features in which you can actually use this as a standalone window manager. So if you're following the ArchWiki guide, you might want to enable this option here. It gives you options for logging in and logging out and some window rules and that sort of thing. These are defaults, and they should be everything that you need pretty much for getting this set up. Unfortunately, because I am not running this as a standalone, I really can't demonstrate this one to you guys. Sorry about that. The next spot on our tour is the minimize effect, and it looks like this conflicts with other things. I'm not going to enable that then. But basically, this has some shading effects, and there are some window rules that are applied with this. You can define its speed and that sort of thing, and you can basically see just from the icon here that it's just providing a simple little fading effect. Personally, I like the effects I have already, with the Animation Plus and all of these up here. These are much nicer effects, but they do have these additional effects if you wish to play with them. The next one in our tour is the motion blur effect. This one's kind of neat, and I actually have this set up. If we press Control F12, that'll toggle it. And you're going to notice we got some pretty wicked motion blurring going on there. I'm going to shut that off at this point. But It's just another really cool feature for those of you who really like to have the eye candy on your desktop and you really want to show off. Yeah, that's a fun one. Next option on our tour is the paint fire on the screen. And, of course, you've seen this in a bunch of those videos on YouTube where they're playing that funky boom, 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 boom music. And somebody's sitting there wobbling their windows and painting fire on the screen here. I tried to initiate that, and it's not working for some reason. I wonder why. Why don't I enable this, and let's do super... Okay. We'll grab a key combination. Super ASD. Wait a minute. Shift. Okay, Super Shift A. Okay, we'll try that. Okay, Shift Super A. Ah, there we go. Now we can paint fire on the screen. Isn't that lovely? And you can change its colors, too. Okay, Shift Super C. Okay, good. I thought I broke it. So, Shift Super A. And now we've changed the color. And Shift Super C to kill it. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that one's pretty useless, but okay. Yeah, if you enjoy that sort of thing, have at it, Captain. The next option on our tour is the photo wheel. I've enabled this, and watch this little trick. When we look at our cube now, you can take family photos or any kind of photos, and you can put them inside your cube. And the top and the bottom I made transparent. But that's kind of cool that you can take images, and so inside your cube or cylinder or whatever, you can have photos spinning around. I thought that was kind of neat. And that's a neat feature we haven't seen in Compiz before. All right, the next option on our tour is reflection. And I never really liked this one, but I'll show it to you. Basically, it puts a reflection on your desktop, on the cube and that sort of thing. You can basically, this could probably be done a lot nicer if they just included a better texture to play with. But you can select a different reflection texture if you want. So just by defining which reflection image you want and any window matchings and that sort of thing, you can probably give this a better look. Personally, I didn't care for it. But I assume that if you were to pick a better reflection texture, it would be a little bit nicer. Simple Animations brings even more animations to the table that you can actually modify and edit, such as fly in, rotate, bounce, sheet, and expand piecewise. And these work with the animations tab here. Just more options for you to tweak and play with, and why I didn't think about it, well, caffeine hadn't kicked in yet this morning, so it is what it is. The next stop on our tour is Trail Focus. I demonstrated this in the overview video, and basically what this does is, you'll notice that if I have a window that's in focus, other windows that occupy the same screen will have varying degrees of opacity, so that only the window that you're focused on is fully opaque. And you can clearly see that here when we were doing our 3D Cube thing. The Special Effects Tour window is fully opaque, where there are degrees of transparency in the other windows that's sharing the same desktop. It's a pretty neat effect, and that's why I have that one enabled. Next is the water effect, and I gotta love this one. Okay, so basically, Control Super will initiate it for you. Okay, wherever your mouse is, you're gonna notice got that little water effect going on. Okay, well, let's make it rain. So that's Shift F9. And now it's raining on the screen. Shift F8 will turn on those windshield wipers for you so that you know you can. Certainly a resource waster for those of you out there. Hey, maybe I should try playing Skyrim while this effect's running. Ain't gonna happen. But you can set the delays and that sort of thing for this. Yeah. The next item on our tour is window decorations. You must have this enabled if you want to see window borders in Compiz. All right. Now, for me, I don't like window borders, but whenever I have Emerald running, I can have that set up, and this is where you would put in the Emerald -- replace command. You can define the shadow radius and the shadow opacity and the shadow colors of your windows. So if we wanted to set something up here, we could. And you can set up window decorations and shadow windows. Any by default, because pretty much it'll just put decorations over any windows. I don't have window decorations on my setup, but I do have this enabled in case I decide I want to use Emerald and I want to put some window borders on without using the ugly GTK windows. Harry Potter fans, listen up. There is a special effect thrown in here just for you guys, and it's called the Wizard Effect. To initiate it, Super W will definitely waste your resources with these funny little wizard wannabe effects. How cool is that? You have other options here, such as gravity, and you can define how much there is, and then the number of emitters on here. And of course, this is quite beautiful to look at, but it's also a resource hog. But yet, just another thing. I actually think this looks cool. Yeah, never saw this one before in any of those boom, 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 boom Compiz videos. This one's pretty neat. Let me shut that off. Pretty neat. Let's shut it off. And then, of course, the wobbly window effect. You've been seeing me do this one all the time. That's the last one on our tour here. Everybody loves to wobble their windows. Of course you do. And here are all the options for it. You can snap your windows if you want to by using the Shift key. You can even define snap inverted, shiver, friction, the amount of spring, and by, messing with these effects here, you can change the way it appears. Personally, I'm not going to do that because, if I remember correctly, it took me a few hours just to get this to look the way I wanted it, and I don't want to mess it up, so I'm going to leave this as is. But experimentation is key. Play with it and have fun with it. That is all I have on the effects options for Compiz Reloaded, and I realize I could have gone into some of these effects in greater detail, but most of the fun for you guys will be experimenting with these things on your own and just discovering things that you're able to do with this, and I think that is the most fun out of exploring a piece of software such as this. I really don't want to spoil all of the surprises for you. One of the things that will be covered in greater detail in a future episode, and I realize it is not in the listings, it is the window decoration feature. And I don't use window decorations myself, but after I have completed this series, I do plan on doing a special video on Emerald. So I will, and what I will do is I will actually use Emerald and create my own window border using Emerald. Or you could just download a bunch of themes. There's so many themes for Emerald, it's mind-boggling. So you can have the look that you're after. But if you're a tweakazoid like I am, you like to tweak and pull all the dials, push the buttons, and play with things, I think you'll love the Emerald Theme Manager. So I will be talking about that in a future episode. So At any rate, I think I've given you guys enough food for thought for one day. So get in there, dig into those special effects, have lots of fun with it. One thing I want to add in closing before going under image loading, make sure you have JPEG, text, PNG, and SVG enabled. Otherwise, some of the special effects, such as the photo wheel, and any other effects that may use PNG, JPEG, and other images may not work as expected. So just make sure you have all 4 of those enabled, and that'll keep things on the safe side for you. Tomorrow we will go over some extras. And yeah, that should be fun, such as splash screens, screensaver, other elements, and that sort of thing. That should be fun. So we'll definitely have a look at those in the next episode. We'll catch you then. Peace out.